Hey, in this video, we're going to be interviewing Jonathan Robinson. I'm Chris with Picks and Sticks Music Studio. And if you're new to this channel, we're an all things music channel, and we like to support our local artists and bands. If you enjoy this video, hit the like button. Not only does this help the channel, but this also helps the bands that we interview. More likes we get, more views they get, and more recognition. If you want to see more interviews like this, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And this is episode number 23 of the Local Artists and Bands series. And I'm very excited to welcome to the channel Jonathan Robinson. And I'm going to bring him in. I'm going to unmute him. And there he is. So thank you for being a part of this channel and doing this interview with me. You're still not unmuted. Oh, no, it's doing what it was doing earlier. All right, I'm going to have to remove you and bring you back in. If you can, leave the stream and come back in.
Oh, can you?
Oh, there it goes. There it goes.
There you now and see you.
Okay, all right. That's awesome.
There we go.
So he's having storms in his area, and we're having a little bit of connection issues. But we're going to roll with this and see how it goes.
There you go. So fingers crossed. So far, maybe so good. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So why don't you let's start off by you introducing yourself a little bit.
So my name is Jonathan Robinson. I'm from North Carolina originally. Then I moved down to Charleston for a while. I was in Nashville playing some music for a while. 2016, I moved back to North Carolina. Started playing around, doing some different things, doing some of my own stuff. I work at Casino Guitars, which is a pretty popular YouTube channel, so some of you might have seen that as well. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So we always start off with some icebreaker questions. What is your favorite type of food?
Man, I like anything that is cheesy and spicy. If it is cheesy and spicy, it is in my favorites category. Probably not the best thing for you, but anything with cheese and jalapenos. It's hard for me to pick one, but I love Mexican food. Yeah, any kind of Southwest stuff. That's where my heart lies, in the food department. So
awesome. Other than music, what are some of your hobbies?
This is one of the questions I thought you might ask me. So much of what I do is music, it's weird because my sort of job and hobby and the side hustle, all those things are kind of wrapped up in music. But I do I have an 8-year-old son who plays baseball and soccer, among other random things. And so I usually coach those teams, like little league soccer and baseball. And so we play a lot of sports, and we do a lot of fishing, that kind of stuff. So, I read a lot of nerdy sci-fi fantasy things. I'm actually reading back through the Wheel of Time series right now. I guess that counts as a hobby. But
right. Yeah. I just noticed your connection is getting when you first got on with me, the connection was actually a little bit better. Were you before on Wi-Fi versus being cellular, or?
When we first got on and we had that issue, I switched from Wi-Fi to cellular, and it got better. And now, for whatever reason, seems like it maybe is getting slightly sketchy again.
You want to try to go back to Wi-Fi? Yeah. And I'll go to myself and I'll talk a little bit. Now I'm going to do a quick update on the channel. So with the channel, I'm still going to be doing these interviews. I got another interview on the 15th with another band. And I want to start doing some other product videos coming up. And John Juan and I are still going to probably do some stuff. And Scott Reeves, he's going to do some stuff with me as well. And speaking of Scott Reeves, he just said this: ask Jonathan your questions here in the chat window. So if you have any questions for Jonathan, let's put them in the chat and we'll get those answered. And so yeah, so he's back here, and I think we're going to be a better connection now. Sorry about this.
Cool.
Like I said, he has some storms coming through, so we were trying to be proactive and going to cellular, and now we're back on his Wi-Fi, and I think we're going to be good. Scott, Scott's our moderator, and I thank him for being here tonight. He's going to be deleting all that spam that we get and any inappropriate questions that we never get. But Scott's all ready for those inappropriate questions, though. He wants to delete them. All right. So the next question, if you could play anywhere, where would it be?
Man, it would have to be Red Rocks. I think playing at Red Rocks would be like the deal, you know? I got 2020, I got to play at the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, which was another bucket list one, you know, and that was amazing. But yeah, I think right now, if I could pick a place, especially with my trio, like to do my stuff, I think that seems sort of like Mecca for the kind of stuff that I love, you know?
Right.
And it's just beautiful there, you know?
I mean, you already played one of the top 10. I mean, that's crazy. Like most people, like, you know, they say Red Rocks is a top 10. A lot of people say that, and then the Ryman, and that's awesome that you get to play there. What was that like?
Man, it's, you know, it sounds sort of like trite and corny and stereotypical, but I mean, it really was almost like religious. I mean, it was just, I mean, like I've never had as good a sound on stage. It was just perfect. And it was quick, you know, it wasn't like a crazy sound check because it was a ton of bands. It was a part of this online streaming event, you know, during the COVID stuff. Even with that though, man, it was just amazing. Just being on that stage was yeah, I'll remember that forever. Pretty awesome.
You get to stand on the star.
Yeah, the little circle thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. If you could meet any artist, who would it be?
I thought about this one long and hard. So man, when I started playing, Eric Clapton was like the one, you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to be in Cream. Like that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
So he's way up there for me. But the other one that is a huge one for me, and I had trouble picking, is Joe Walsh. I love Joe Walsh. And part of it, I think, is because, like, you know, I do a lot of sideman stuff where I'm just playing guitar for people. And then I have my own stuff. And, you know, I kind of see Joe Walsh weave between that really effortlessly in a great way. So, and then the third one, I know I'm cheating because you asked for one. I would have loved to have met Tom Petty, but I'd also love to meet Mike Campbell. You know, I'm a super Mike Campbell fan. So,
Tom Petty's, you know, I'm from Gainesville, Florida. So,
oh, yeah.
He's our hometown hero, kind of. And when he passed, you know, the UF, you know, when they play a song every third quarter, and it's like just it's, you know, chills every time. It doesn't get old. All right, so this last minute question, it wasn't on the outline. What Hawaiian island would you vacation to, and why?
Well, it's funny. I was just with a guy who lived in Hawaii this past week. He was playing bass on the gig I was on. And I feel like I should know the names of all the islands, but I don't. But I think there's one called Big Island that he says is a little more out of the way. And sort of like out of the way, not so touristy, appeals to me a lot. So I would go with that. But I'd be cool with any of the sort of out of the way, relaxed, lay on the beach and not see another person, you know, kind of deal. So that would be my favorite.
Right. So did you know that question was coming, or?
No idea that question was coming.
Yeah. Somebody sent that in to me. So
seems appropriate. Yeah.
How'd you get started in music?
Really randomly. So, you know, I grew up just playing ball and playing whatever sport was in season, you know, growing up in the South of North Carolina. Like high school football was everything, you know. In my county, lots of small towns, but only one high school. So a pretty big high school. So, you know, lots of state championships. Was really into that and baseball, and loved playing basketball and all that stuff. But I had a buddy who, you know, we had one little guitar shop in our county, just a little mom and pop, not much there. And he was always bugging me to come. Well, not just me, everyone. Hey guys, you should come to the guitar shop. Come hang out at the guitar shop. I mean, I didn't play. I didn't really like listen to a ton of music. My parents weren't like, you know, people with albums where we listened to a ton of stuff. It was all, you know, just the radio. So like I loved it, and I you know, we'd listen to the radio a lot, but I only knew like what was on the radio. I couldn't even tell you who most of the artists were. But for whatever reason, I walked into that guitar shop that day, man, and I just like had the bug, and I had like $300 because I just started a job at Piggly Wiggly. You know, I'd been working there for a little bit, had $300 and spent every dime. I bought a black and white Squire Strat. No amp, didn't have enough money for an amp. I remember coming home, my mom being like, what are you doing? Why did you blow all that money? But I was just, man, I was hooked.
Right.
That was it. I was just obsessed from then on. I was like, okay, this is what I would like to do, you know.
That's awesome. So what's your background in music? Like, did you go to school for it at all?
I took 2 lessons with that guy who, you know, who was a high school kid like me at the time, you know, and so he was kind of still figuring it out too. And so, you know, yeah, took two Saturday lessons or so with him. And then, man, I just started like, we had this little local music store, like record store, CD store, you know, called On Cue, which I think was a chain, but, you know, I would like bum a ride there, and I'd buy like the little single song sheet music things that had the guitar chords. And I would just learn as many as I could. And I would buy, you know, Guitar World, a Guitar Player, and just, I'd read every article. And I just, man, I would just anything, you know, and I had a couple guys and older guys at my church who played acoustic guitar. And they were kind enough to let me play with them and kind of haul me around and show me some things, and mostly just by watching them. But, you know, just being around that was super helpful. But yeah, so no, it was no formal stuff till I moved right after I graduated high school. I moved to Charleston. And then, I just fell into a job at a music store there, because I was trying to trade. I didn't have an acoustic guitar, so I was trying to trade an electric guitar for an acoustic. And the owner saw me showing some kids, like some young kids, a song they were trying to figure out. And he's like, "Have you ever taught guitar lessons?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "You want a job this summer?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, because I wanted to stay in Charleston, I didn't want to come back to my little town I was from.
Right.
So I did that, man, and I just stayed one step with them. That was the first time I'd ever like learned to read music, you know. So I learned a ton that way, and then I just threw myself into playing. You know, I was playing. I'd take any sort of gigs I had no business to take. Yeah, and I would just learn. You know, trial by fire, I guess.
That is awesome. So you kind of force fed yourself.
That was for better or for worse. Yes.
Let's talk about your writing process and stuff. So what do you, I always ask this question. I don't know why, because it always, like, I always try to write songs. I'm not good at it, but
I don't know if I'm good at it either, but I always try to write about it. So, you know, my process has changed a lot over the years. You know, it used to be very much like I'd have a beat or a rhythm in my head, you know, and I'd use other songs almost like templates, you know, just like the flow of the lyrics, right?
Right.
And I'd get that in my head. Then I'd pretty much have it written with the melody. And then I would go back and I'd find the guitar chords, you know. Mm-hmm. And then occasionally I'll have the riff or the guitar part first. But, you always have, if you're a guitar player, you're always noodling, right? You always got a riff or something. Yeah. So you just kind of you find things that you think work together and you kind of marry them. But once I got to Nashville, man, and when I first moved to Nashville, that's what I was just into writing hardcore. I really didn't have any intention of trying to play live. But you learn there, you know, if you want to do it and be serious about it, that it's very intentional, you know. So you're doing 2 or 3 co-writes a day, you know, you're trying to finish 2 or 3 songs with different people today. They're not all good, but you just you start trying to perfect the craft of like, hey, I can write 2 verses and a chorus and maybe a bridge if it needs it, you know, and it can be under, you know, they wanted it 2 minutes and 47 seconds, and, you know, first chorus 45 seconds in. Which is a little strict for me. You know, I think that you can go too far and be too commercial and too formulaic, but there's something nice about learning that. If you can do that, then you can relax, and when you're inspired, you sort of have something, some actual songwriting craft to, you know, push it to the finish line. Right.
Right. That's awesome.
So,
what is your favorite part of the writing process?
man, probably my favorite. Well, I had two, right? My first one, there's always a moment like when I'm writing a song when I know it, like, I think it's a good song, where like I write the line and I think, I can sort of hang a song on this concept, you know,
Right.
and whether that's the hook, sometimes it's the line in the first verse, usually it's like the chorus or the title. That like aha moment is amazing, but nothing really beats the moment when you finally finish and you like play it through the first time and you're reading. Like, I like to write everything out by hand. I'm super analog, you know. I hate, like, I've tried it on a tablet or on my phone or typing it out on the computer. I just need a pad and paper, you know. It flows better for my brain if I can write it out with a pen and a piece of paper, and I can scratch it out and stuff. So, but that first playthrough, you know, when you got it in your brain and you're like, I think these are the chords, and you play it and sing it, that might be, for me, the best, because then you know right away if it worked and it clicks. I mean, sure, you might have to iron some things out, you know, you go out and play it live and you try it, but yeah, there's something cool about that moment. So
That's awesome. So what do you enjoy more, singing or playing guitar?
so I sort of started singing out of just stupid necessity, right? So like when I started playing in high school, it turns out my best friend had played acoustic guitar forever, and we never even had talked about it, right? So I'd known this guy since like kindergarten. It turns out his dad played guitar, and I mean, I'd spend the night at his house all the time. He'd spend the night at my house. But anyways, I got that guitar, and he's like, man, I play the guitar. So we started like a little band. And in the beginning, I've always loved like literature and English. And for the 5 minutes that I went to college, I majored in English and literature. That was what I was going to study. So the writing part always seemed like, it just never occurred to me not to write stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even then I was writing stuff, but we'd have a singer, and I was constantly having to show them, how to sing the songs. But in my brain, I wasn't a singer, and I wasn't a very good singer. I didn't think. But we'd have a singer, and something would happen. We'd have a singer, and something would happen. And finally, my friends were like, "Hey, why don't you just be our singer?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I just started doing it, and I think over the years I got okay at it, and now I think I'm like maybe just on this side of okay. but they're tied up to me, especially because like when I'm singing, a lot of times I'm either playing solo acoustic gigs or I'm doing like a trio, like a power trio kind of thing. So it's hard to separate them for me.
Right.
So like the pure, like just, pure joy of just being on stage is probably playing, but there is something amazing about, nailing an awesome riff and singing it and, feeling like you're communicating with the crowd. So to me, it's just hard to separate them. I don't know that I can really separate them in my mind. I will say I love to play guitar without singing, but I don't love to sing without playing guitar. that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Your voice kind of reminds me of oh my God, I can't think of his name. Was it Adam from Counting Crows?
Man, I was obsessed with Counting Crows, like when they were coming out, and I learned a ton. Well, I tried to learn a ton from just how they would layer guitar parts and all that kind of stuff.
Is that his lead singer? Is that his name? I can't remember.
Adam Duritz.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I listened to you. I'm like, oh my God, it sounds like Counting Crows. Not the music, but just the voice.
Well, when I sent my stuff, I have a friend that we're just friends through Facebook, but he's got he runs a company that like does sync, licenses, songs and commercials and all that stuff. And so when I first put out a little EP of my own, he was like, "Oh man, if you want to send it over, I'll see if it, if we'd like to do something with it." And he was like, "Oh man, this is great. It's like Counting Crows with like way more guitar. Perfect." And I was like, "Okay." So you were not the only one to ever have said that to me.
That's funny. So that's a good segue. So what are some of your biggest influences?
Man, so like I said, when I started playing guitar, I loved, and I still do, but I loved Clapton. I wanted to be like Clapton with the suit on, but the t-shirt, and like, back in like the Journeyman sort of days. I just thought there was something so cool about that. But I loved Cream. I just loved everything Clapton, Blind Faith, Cream.
Right.
I loved Eric and the Dominoes, so I was really into that. I got into Jimi Hendrix really early, like I'm sure everyone says this, But the other things that really influenced me were like Count Crows and that first like Matchbox 20 album and like Third Eye Blind. All that stuff was coming out, like, you know, when I was in high school. So I absorbed a lot of that, I think, from like a song perspective, right? And then there was stuff like, then I got really into the Eagles, you know, Joe Walsh. And then I got super into the Tom Petty stuff. Because like when I got to Nashville, you know, most of the country stuff didn't sound country anymore. And the stuff that I liked, I was like, this is just Tom Petty songs, you know, which made me sort of fall in love with them, going back and listening to all that stuff even more. In fact, that's when I got this tattoo, if you can see it. It's mirrored. But that is actually the line, "You can stand me up at the gates of hell and I won't back down," from my on my arm. So, you know, all those things were pretty big influences for me. And then I got into like Mark Knopfler a lot. He was a huge influence. But you know how it is. You just kind of go down the trail. Got into some country guys for a while and still like just enough to sort of, I don't know that I ever became a great country player, but you know, you work on that stuff enough and it kind of creeps into your just all you're playing, right? Mostly for me, it was like the hybrid picking thing. Like, you know, I have to really think about it to not hybrid pick on stuff now. So,
but you do a lot of slide too, right? So
I love slide. And that was just growing up in North Carolina. You know, it was always, you know, you hear the Allman Brothers and you hear, you know, Leonard Skinner and you hear all that Southern rock stuff and Little Feat, you know, and yeah, that was just always like it. Like that sound to me is just, it's home. You know what I mean? Like it was just being in my dad's truck and all that Southern rock stuff playing, you know. So that was kind of where that started. And I screwed around with slide for years and was like super mediocre. And then I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, I just decided, I was like, you know, I want to be a really, you know, try to be a good slide player. And I just started focusing on it and, you know, was listening to a ton of like Warren Haynes, and I always have listened to a lot of Derek Trucks, but in my brain, he's just like unobtainium, right? So I don't even worry about his slide playing as far as my play. I just enjoy it for what it is, you know, and then, but I'm sure, you know, some of that creeps in, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, your slide guitar is definitely awesome. And
oh, thank you.
So he's gonna try to play a song. Like I said before, his internet connection's not real great because he has a storm going through his area right now. But we're gonna attempt this. If it's bad, it's not because of him. It's just because the connection and just.
Way to take the pressure off. I appreciate it. That's right. It's connection. Yeah. Very cool. This is one. It's called Tennessee Rain. It's just a song I love. It's off the first EP I did when I moved back to North Carolina, and it's just a great acoustic. So here we go. I see that look in your eyes, and I know just what it means. You were born to run, and you like to feel free. You hear the bright lights calling your name, and you can't stay away. It's like seeing clouds in the sky before a Tennessee rain. The blue turns to gray, and I'm left standing alone while you're running away. Wondering if you're coming back home and bring me one more sunny day. Until then, I'm waiting. In the Tennessee rain. I'm not holding you back, and I ain't naive. Hell, I'll even believe you when you say it's not me. But let's don't pretend that you're really planning to stay. This is plain as the smell in the air before a Tennessee rain. The blue turns to gray, and I'm left standing alone while you're running away. Wondering if you're coming back home and Bring me one more sunny day. And it feels like I'm drowning in the Tennessee rain. And I'm not asking you to go and stay gone, because there ain't been you isn't better than nothing at all. And I'm not blaming you for something that you can't change. It'd be like blaming the clouds in the sky for a Tennessee rain. When blue turns to gray, and I'm left standing alone while you're running away, wondering if you're coming back home. And bring me one more sunny day. Until then, I'm waiting. And it feels like I'm drowning. I said it feels like I'm drowning in the Tennessee rain. Blue skies turning gray.
That turned out pretty good.
There you go.
There's only a couple little glitches in there with the feet, you know, the connection, and it was pretty good.
Right.
It
Awesome.
could have been. I kind of forgot to tell you to turn off your, like, we have like there's a echo cancellation setting, and I meant to have you turn that off, and I totally forgot. But
I didn't think about that either. So sorry.
No, but no, it's my fault. But it still sounded great. It was really good.
Cool.
So
Thank you.
Appreciate you playing that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. That one and Avalon. I love Avalon.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, they're all great, but those are my two favorites.
It's fun to hear, you know, what people gravitate to, you know.
Yeah,
that's good. I appreciate that.
Let's talk about your YouTube channel. So yeah. I totally forgot you had a YouTube channel, and I was bringing you on as an artist and singer songwriter, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot you had the YouTube channel. And then I started watching it, and you got a ton of videos, really great videos, a lot of teaching. You got a little bit of product stuff, but it's mainly just teaching, right? And
man, most of it's teaching. There's live performance stuff sprinkled in there. There's a few things I won't talk about any product like you know, I just have to like, nobody's sending me products. No, right, and I'm not going out of my way to like ask people to do that, right? With the exception of, I work where I'm endorsed by Tonetuga FX, which is a pedal company. But Michael runs Tonetuga, and he's amazing, and I just love him. So if I do a product demo, it's almost always because I bought that thing because I wanted it. And then, I put it up because I'm either excited about it or I don't think there's a ton of stuff out there, and I just think people should know about it, But most of it's teaching, man, and I love that. And I love when I do it, it's just like a chat, It's not like 50 charts and super technical. It's mostly about how I think about things. And sometimes that's helpful for folks, and hopefully it's entertaining. And then I started the channel just trying to like put up, me playing or jamming or, because I started it forever ago, and it was just like another place to post, like Instagram,
Right.
And then as things progressed, I'd put up live performances or throw things up whenever. And I've tried to get more consistent, because I enjoy it. People seem to react to it pretty well. So, I think I'm right at 3,600 subscribers right now.
Yeah, you're doing really good. So
pretty good.
I know that first 1,000's really hard. And
oh my goodness.
So, and that's the only reason I do product info is because I want to do, my main thing is I want to do these interviews with artists, but I want to bring more exposure to them. And the only way I'm going to do it is to do product
That's true. That's so true. I've had to help me, like, I'm part of the Casino Guitars YouTube, which has a lot of subscribers. So a big help for me has been that, I'll mention it occasionally on there, and people are like, oh, you have your own YouTube channel, and they come and they subscribe, which is nice. So, I've got a little bit of an in, I guess, there.
Right.
Without that, I would definitely have to pursue the product stuff more, I think, So.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the YouTube thing?
Man, like I said, I started it, gosh, forever ago. Probably, I don't know, 2014 or something like that. But
Right.
again, it was just, I would rarely post, and it was just random things. And if I had wild hair, I'd put a video of me playing something or whatever.
Yeah.
So really, only the last couple of years have I been consistent at all. So.
I think your last video is on the stainless steel frets, which I've found interesting. That was a pretty cool video.
For whatever reason, that one took off. Like, it's way more views than my typical video. So maybe people are just curious.
I mean, it is, because not everybody thinks about that kind of thing, and it's something pretty simple, but it's, but it was a great video. So what's your number one guitar?
Man, I thought you might ask that. So it actually, this Telecaster has been with me longer than any of my other guitars. It's the first nice guitar I ever had. So it's a custom shop. It's the one I just got refretted because I had played the frets down to nothing. And it's been super exciting for me because I put off getting the frets for a while because it just freaked me out. Which is why I wanted to make the video, right? Because,
right.
I was like, man, you hear people like, I wanted to get new frets, but I'm like, gosh, that's, you just feel like somebody could tear up your fretboard, and you have to really trust the person. And then I was like, I kind of want stainless steel because I'm heavy-handed sometimes, and I wear my frets out pretty quick. But then some people say, oh, they have a weird tone, or, oh, they, they're super bright, or, but I just decided to go for it. I talked to the guy that I know in our area who does a lot of work, and I trusted. And he was like, man, I think you'll love it. Let's try it. And so went for it, and I just wanted to go in there and say, hey, I was afraid to do this, but it worked out great. I wish I'd done it a year ago.
Right.
But anyways, having this guitar back has been almost like having a brand new guitar, because I just had forgotten how much I loved it with actual functioning, good feeling frets.
Right.
But it's just been with me for a long time. I've played a bazillion gigs. I played a ton and toured a ton out of Nashville with it. And it's sort of like the security blanket, right? Like, if I have to pick a guitar and I am not certain about the situation, I'm probably going to grab good old trusty Telly.
Yeah, you might have said it already. What year is it? Do you know?
I don't know. I bought it new in like 2012 or 13.
Okay.
So it's about, it was new when I bought it,
Okay.
But that was around 10 years ago. So,
Cool.
But I do know it sat in a Guitar Center for just over a year. Because oddly enough, like, the story that I heard was that they ordered it like in Dallas at the Guitar Center from the custom shop, paid the deposit, for whatever reason, never picked up the guitar. It sat there for 6 months. They transferred it to a Guitar Center like in Houston, like somewhere else in Texas. Sat there for 6 months. They transferred it to Nashville, where I happened to be working at the time. I was still in that weird process of, like, getting enough gigs where I, didn't have to work in the warehouse at Guitar Center. And my boss was a super cool guy. And he knew I was looking, that I'd been playing a lot and I'd saved some money and I wanted a custom shop. And he was like, I got the one. You got to check this thing out. And there you go. I was sold. I was not very sold on the Sparkle Red in the beginning, but I don't know. When I played it, it was the one.
It doesn't matter what color it is, as long as it sounds good. What gauge strings do you use?
I'm a 10 through 46 across the board, on electric at least. So everything from, I really only have 3 electric guitars that I play. I have a Strat, I have this telly, and I have an ES335, and I run 10 through 46 on all of them. And then I run 12 through 52 or 3, whatever the elixir gauge of 12s is on the on my acoustic. And I use elixir. I don't know. I got hooked on the stupid OptiWeb elixirs, and now that's all, all I like. But they do last me a ton longer. You know, like I love Ernie Balls, and I love the plain like Diodario's, and I think in some ways they probably sound a hair better and maybe feel hair better. But then I have to change them so quickly. The OptiWebs are like 90-something% there, and then they stay that way for way longer. You know, so
right. For amps, what's your go-to tone? You like American, British?
So I've had a bit of a transition lately. I've always been American, right? Usually like some sort of Fender style, like 6L6, maybe 6V6. You know, and I'd run clean with pedals, right? Or maybe like close to edge breakup, depending on the amp, you know. But most of the amps I've had that I've loved have been non-master volume. So, you know, if you're not in a venue where you can push it very much, which seems to be all of them these days, you know, you're running clean and you're relying on pedals. But I broke down not too long ago and bought one of those, you know, Magnetone, the Super 59 M80. That's got the, you know, it's 2 channels, but they're really both dirty. It's like a low gain and a high gain. And that has been like an epiphany for me tonally a little bit, right? Because what I was running an always on pedal for a lot now is the sound that just comes out of the amp, you know?
Right.
And even like, let's see, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. So I'm from Richmond County, North Carolina. I grew up in Hamlet, but Rockinham's like the next town over. They're like the same place, you know. If you wanted to go to Walmart, you went to Rockingham, or like a real store or whatever. But we used to have a NASCAR track, still there, but they don't have a NASCAR race anymore. But we do have a really active dragway where they have these big national drag races. And they asked if I would come out and play the National Anthem. And man, I just took that amp, no overdrive pedals, no nothing, and the Gibson, and threw like a little analog delay in the effects loop. And it sounded, and turned it all the way up. They didn't even mic it in the drag strip. And it was glorious, I just cranked it up. Yeah,
I watched the video and I was like, they had to mic that or something because it was pretty loud.
Dude asked me, he's like, how loud? Because, well, you know how those things are, right? Like they never really know. They want live music, but they never really know what it entails, right?
Right.
So we get there and the guy's got a wireless mic, like a Shure, no mic stand, no nothing. They don't know where power is. They don't know where I'm going to be. So he puts me down there and he's like, how loud will that be? And it's open back, right? So the sound kind of comes from both ways. So I was like, man, it's pretty darn loud, So 45 watts, EL 34s cranked up is, especially hitting those cement walls, and bouncing. Yeah. So yeah, I thought it would be enough, but it actually sounded really, really, it definitely sounded good where I was standing. And I was hoping it didn't sound too like wimpy or like anemic, in the stands, but the videos people sent me from the stands sounded pretty good. So
did you have it facing the stands then or
well, in the drag strip, like, here's the drag strip, right? And there's stands on both sides.
Right.
So there was no real good way to have it facing
that's true.
Both.
Yeah.
So they were, they had a camera crew out there. So I faced them and one set of stands. And then I was just hoping enough would come out since it is open back. And then also it was pointing at like a big cement section. So I was like, oh, hopefully it'll bounce, which I think it did,
Yeah.
Because actually I had a friend who was sitting behind me, sent me a video from behind, and it, sounded pretty darn good that way too. So,
wow. Yeah. If anybody, where can people find that video? I watched it on Instagram. It was pretty.
It's on my Instagram. Man, I should have got the letters, of what particular drag race it was. And I think you could live stream it from there, or they live stream it from their site, which I'm assuming is archived. But easiest way is just to go to my Instagram, which is Jonathan Robinson Music. And it's scroll down, it's 2 or 3 videos now.
Right. Yeah, that was pretty cool experience for you. That was, it's fun for us to watch too, because that
is nerve-wracking experience, right? Like I've never had to play I mean, everybody sort of learns the national anthem and pretends to be Jimi Hendrix, right? Play guitar, you've at least thought about it. Anybody who's saying they've never thought about it, I don't believe you. But when they called, I was really excited, especially since like that race thing was such a big part of growing up here,
Right.
But then I was like, oh man, everybody talks about singers messing it up, and then I went down the YouTube is like amazing, but it's also the worst thing ever, because I went down the rabbit hole of like Robbie Krieger from the Doors and the horrible rendition, where he's playing slide and he's in a hockey arena, and like even the Stevie Ray Vaughan one, and there was just a ton of like these amazing players who, for whatever reason, they take on that song and it does not go amazing, right? And I was like, oh no. So I was like, I put way too much pressure on myself, but but it turned out fine. It was good.
Right.
It was adequate at least, So, but yeah.
So then right after that experience, you just got back from Alaska. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, dude, that was a crazy experience, and it was a great experience. Like, so I've never been to Alaska, and I've had the good fortune to play in a ton of states, but I didn't know if I'd ever make it to Alaska or Hawaii, right? Oddly enough, we already talked about Hawaii. And one of the guys with me on the trip to Alaska had lived in Hawaii for a while. But anyways, so I play a lot of guitar. Like I alluded to earlier, I have my own trio, I have my own singer-songwriter stuff, and then I do a lot of sort of sideman stuff. One of the guys I played for is named Robbie Cummings. And he actually won, there's a Native American Music Award a couple years ago for like Song of the Year, which is a pretty big deal. And he's a great songwriter. He's out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. But anyways, he called me and said, hey man, do you want to go to Alaska for a week? And I said, yes, of course I do, right? And Robbie's a typical musician. He doesn't always give you the most like details, or, like, it's just kind of like here's kind of what we're doing. Just be here, blah, blah, send you the plane ticket, right? So what it actually was is there's a guy named Bill, and I should have looked up Bill's last name. Paragan. I probably butchered that. And I didn't meet Bill until this trip, but he has an organization called Carry the Cure. And apparently there's a huge problem with like kid suicide, like teen suicide in some of those remote villages in Alaska. And there's a ton of factors there. You can look up and read about it, but the statistics are pretty wild. So what Bill does is he puts these groups together. He gets like, pretty legit bands. And he's a world-class drummer and percussionist. And you get on these little bush planes and you go out to these villages. Some of these villages hadn't had visitors in 2 or 3 years, and some of them, they said, had not had like live music, like a band, since like the 70s, right? Because it's just crazy. You get out there, man, there's no pavement, there's no asphalt. Everybody, the way they get around is 4-wheelers, snow machines, and, dogs teams, you know what I mean? Like mm-hmm. Super traditional, hunt moose. It's awesome, right? But they have these schools and these villages that are basically like the community center. So what we do, we'd set up, Bill would do this presentation, we'd play a couple songs, and then, different people on the team that were with us would share some life experiences and basically encourage these kids to commit to that. Hey, if things get hard, things get tough, you talk to somebody, right? You ask for some help. There's hope, that kind of thing. And then you invite them to a free, essentially a rock concert that night. So, it's essentially like a mission organization, but that's what it focuses on, is that just suicide prevention and just bringing hope to some, a lot of kids who maybe don't have a ton of prospects. But so in 5 days, we did 5 of those villages. So every morning, load a plane, fly to a new village, unload, set up the sound, do a 2 o'clock assembly for the school, do a concert that night, load up, do the same thing the next day. Sleep in the sleeping bags, but man, it was super rewarding and just, it was a lot of fun. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. So.
Wow. That's amazing. Thanks for doing that. That's great.
Yeah, man. It was I was humbled to even be asked to do it. So that was good.
And I appreciate you being on here, because you just got in today, right? You said?
Yeah. So I left Anchorage at like 8:15 on Saturday night and then did the red eye, got to Atlanta to me, it seemed like 3 o'clock in the morning, but it was 7 in Atlanta. Had like almost a 4-hour wait there, and then got back to Charlotte. Like, when was I back? I was at Charlotte by like noon. I was at my house by like 2ish today.
Wow. I really appreciate you doing this. We could have postponed it, but I'm glad.
I was glad to do it, man. I really appreciate you, asking me. And it's so cool that you sort of spotlight, local musicians like this. It's really, really appreciated. And I think it's awesome that you do it. So thank you.
It's fun. You did some stuff with John Juan, right? You did.
Yeah. We did a little recording, it was all remote, he'd send me some tracks and I'd play some stuff and we'd send it back and forth, It
was it Paul
Mall Blues.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool little song.
Yeah. I don't know if man, his wife had some medical stuff going on and they got to GoFundMe. Some like stroke kind of situation.
Yeah, I do. I've actually donated to that.
Yeah.
And
so if anybody's watching and they know, follow that guy on Instagram. They're such good people. So if you can't, no big deal. But if you can, that would be pretty awesome.
He's been posting about that daily, and we're all, but him and his, they're in our thoughts, definitely.
Absolutely. But no, I had a blast collaborating with him. That guy is a writing machine. He's constantly writing and producing stuff. So which is cool to see. I'm way more, I do that. For as much as I try to stay steady, inspiration hits and I will like go right for a while, and then back playing guitar and doing the stuff that I already do or whatever. But yeah, he is a prolific man when it comes to songwriting. So
let's talk about talk about your social media and websites and stuff like that, and I'm going to share your website if I can get over there.
So I just revamped that, so a lot of cool stuff on the website right now and a new look, and it might, we'll see where it lands. But actually Derek, who does all the editing for the YouTube stuff at Casino Guitars, is working on that for me and has worked on it. So that's all on there. But yeah, pretty fun stuff. Lots of the YouTube stuff on there, links to the YouTube.
I was on the wrong thing.
There's the good old website. So
that's pretty cool guitar right there. That's a Gibson. Was that a 335?
That's a 335.
Yeah.
That's a cool guitar because it was a special run and it's like blistered. It's natural, and it's like what they called blistered maple, almost like bird's eye, like super figured bird's eye maple. And that was a guitar that when I got to play it in the Ryman, I borrowed it from a guy. It was his idea. I would have never asked to take someone's 335 to a different state, right? But he knew I was going and was kind enough to loan it to me. And then when I got back, I think he knew that I was in love, so we worked out a deal. A super gracious deal on his end.
Wow!
But he made it possible for me to buy it, and that was a bucket list guitar for me for sure.
All right, here's a question from Jinx R. Jonathan, what's your favorite part of working at Casino Guitars? Also, what's a less known fact about why you remain working there?
Okay. Well, those are almost the same answer, right? The best part about working at Casino Guitars, there's not a ton of us, right? Like we do a lot of online stuff. We do a lot of YouTube videos, but it's a relatively small little crew. But man, those guys are they're my best friends in the world. And so it's just cool going to work every day and being around things you love, guitars that you love. And that everyone there loves, right? No one there is just sort of blasé about guitars. Like everyone there is a hardcore guitar nerd. Like we love guitars. So, it's just a lot of fun. I love Baxter, I love Derek, I love Sean. All those guys are fantastic. There's Zach and James that you don't probably hear as much about or see. But so I just love that. Probably one of the lesser known facts about why I remain working there. You know, like when I moved back from Nashville, you know, it's a grind to stay just playing for a living, you know, whether you're doing Broadway or whether you're doing road gigs. But working at casino and teaching and doing the YouTube stuff, it kind of lets me, you know, pick and choose. And I've got 2 kids. I've got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old, who, you know, they're in that spot where it's kind of tough on them when daddy's not around.
Right.
So, you know, it lets me I can take weekend gigs away or whatever, or you know, but I can pick and choose. I don't have to hustle and make sure I play 5 gigs this week. You know what I mean? And have somewhat normal-ish hours, which is kind of nice. So yeah, that's probably the answer there.
Oh, a question to me. I gotta look it up on Instagram. I can't remember the name. So, Sticks and Picks. Who put you up to the Hawaiian question? Love the Hawaiian, by the way. Love Hawaii, by the way. Sorry.
I have a theory of who might have given you the Hawaiian question.
Well, the Instagram page is Guitars on the Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, it was OHMS in Hawaii. Yeah. Ohms in Hawaii. Okay.
He's a cool dude. Yeah, and that's a cool Instagram page because it's all him in Hawaii, literally playing guitars on the beach. Super cool dude, man. I love Ohms. He's awesome. And he sends me Hawaiian goodies from time to time.
That's awesome.
Which is super appreciated. You there.
I'll just share real quick your YouTube channel.
Awesome. Thank you.
Let's do it that way. So this is Jonathan's YouTube channel. How many videos? You have?
I couldn't even tell.
I remember I looked the other day. It's got to be like 100 or something like that, at least.
Yeah. It's like I said. It's just I would randomly put them up for years before I got consistent. So, and I'm planning on putting one together about that Alaska trip. I was about to say the Hawaiian trip, but no, the Alaska trip. You know, just because I think it'll be interesting for folks. So, you know.
I just realized everybody can see what I nerd out on. You know, I got like SpaceX and Hawk versus Wolf and Everyday Astronaut. I'm into space and
that's
guitars.
Awesome.
But yeah, so check out his stuff. Check out his, you know, and where can people find your music?
Pretty much everywhere, man. Like, you know, I do it through DistroKid, so it's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, it's on iTunes, it's on all the ones that I, you know, title and stuff I don't barely know what that is because I'm an old man at this point. But yeah, it's all you know, Amazon, all the spots, it's there.
Jinx wants to know if there's enough time for you to play Avalon.
There's probably enough time for me to play. I have plenty of time. That time. Yeah, dude. So, yeah. You know, obviously, when I play it with the band, it is a slide song. But trickier to do that by myself.
Right.
But yeah, we can give you the bare bones. You know. What's funny is I haven't thought through an acoustic version so much. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, yeah, no, we'll try it if you guys if you want to do it.
Yeah, that's good. Let's go.
Back down the Avalon, where I finally found my faith. Back down the Avalon. Can't wait to walk right through her gates. Her gates. Oh, and I know that you'll be waiting to hold me in your arms. You won't be my shelter. You keep me safe from harm. And we'll dance the night away, safe from every harm. You know that I can't wait till I get back down to Avalon. I'm going back to Avalon. Back down to Avalon, I can almost see your face. back down to Avalon. I can't wait to feel your grace. Your grace. Oh, and I've been away so long. I'm bad and I am bruised. This world that we live in, I know can be so cruel. I know that very soon I have to move on. But for now, I am happy here with you. Down in Avalon. I'm going back to Avalon. It seems so hard going back the way I came. My first love, yeah, seems so far away. But I'm swallowing my pride. Swallowing my pride, I'm going back. Down to Avalon. Going back to Avalon. I can almost see your face. I can finally see your face. Back down to Avalon, where I finally found my faith. Back down to Avalon, I can almost see your face. Your face. Oh, and I know that you'll be waiting to hold me in your arms. And you won't be my shelter, and you'll melt my broken heart. And then we'll dance the night away, safe from every harm. You know that I can't wait till I get back down to Avalon. I'm going back to Avalon. I can almost see your face. I can finally see your face. I can almost see your face. I'm going back to Avalon. There you go. Off the cuff version. Did I lose you? Did we lose each other? I see you and see your mouth, but I can't hear you.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
I muted myself so I didn't have any sound while you're playing. I always do that, and then I always forget. It's like I do it so I don't interrupt you, and then I forget to undo it. But anyway, what I was saying is, no, it was perfect. It was great. I was going to say we could do as a test to take the echo off on your end and do one little verse of it. I want to see the difference.
Cool.
If you want to do it.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do it.
On your phone.
Okay.
Go to, can you see where the settings are?
Yep.
All right. So go to audio settings.
Yep.
And then there should be a thing for echo cancellation. Uncheck that box. And then I'm going to.
Okay.
And now I'm going to echo because it's going to pick up my voice on your end. But once you have that off, do that, the real busy part where you had some fills and stuff.
Back to Avalon. I'm going back to Avalon. I can almost see your face. I can finally see her face. I'm going back to Avalon.
Awesome.
Is that better?
Yeah. Go ahead and switch that back.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got it.
Jinx says, "Well, see
Thank
what
you,
he
Jinx.
says. Sounds better this way. Love the acoustic version."
Thank you.
So yeah, that's my bad. I always remembered it's like some people use headphones. If you use headphones, you don't have to worry about it. But
it's not a big deal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, all good.
anyway,
But
that was awesome. I appreciate you being with us.
absolutely.
And like everybody can see your stuff on Instagram and
Cool.
your YouTube channel, and I'll link that down below. It probably won't be tonight. I'll get that in there tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much for being with me, and then maybe we can do this again whenever you have something releasing or something. We can like an album or something. We can.
I should have some stuff. I've got a couple singles that are coming out. I applied to play Americana Fest in Nashville this year, and I'm waiting on the final word. But I'm trying to time some of the release of those things with that, assuming that I get in. But yeah, so we'll fingers crossed, should have some new music out pretty soon.
Awesome. Where can people see you play?
Man, so I play all over Southern Pines, North Carolina. But we play a ton, man. We play, we've got, let's see, Blues Festival coming up May the 14th at Seagrove. It's called Luch Fest. Corey Luchin and the Traveling Blues Band, they put that thing on, and there's 4 or 5 awesome bands. So that's sort of the next exciting thing, where we'll be doing like a mostly original set, like 90-minute set,
right,
kind of thing. And I think we head up to play in Garner that night. We're doing the Rusty Nail in Wilmington in June 10th. And then other than that, it's like we do a ton at the Neon Rooster in Aberdeen. That's a venue worth checking out if you guys are anywhere near, Moore County, Fayetteville, Richmond County. That's been a really cool place that's becoming a sort of a little community for live and especially original music. And we're the house band there. So I host a blues jam there once a month, and then we do, like a 3-hour long set, my trio once a month. So that's a really good, consistent place is the Neon Rooster in Aberdeen, North Carolina.
So before we get off, is there anything you want to plug or talk about?
Like I said, obviously I would love for you to go check out my songs, and my YouTube channel. All those things are fantastic. I do, like I said, I'm endorsed by, a pedal company called Tonetuga FX, who's pretty awesome. They make great pedals. They sound amazing. And some of the profits for everything goes towards conservation, especially like marine life, sea turtle stuff. That's pretty cool. So check out that, man. Other than that, just check out the social media. Check out, check out the tunes online, and comment somewhere and let me know what you think.
I might have to check out their pedals as well and see if
they're really, yeah. Sad I'd show you one, but I think they're all, well, this one is dirty because it has been on my board, but that's called the Delphine.
Oh wow, that's
it looks complicated, but it's really not. It's just a dual delay. The knobs are exactly the same. So you got side 1 and side 2, right? And it's like having 2 tape delays in one enclosure. Mm-hmm. So you could have like a short one and a long one. And then when you put them on together, you get the trippy stuff, right?
Oh, wow.
Which is always nice, right? Because when I have an analog delay, I always want a short sound, like a slapbacky sound. And then I want a David Gilmour thing, right? Mm-hmm. The other cool thing about this, especially the newest version, which is why I took this one off, because, I replaced it with the newest version. But there's a preamp in there. You know how sometimes when you have a delay pedal, it's almost like your volume goes down, and it really doesn't. It's just that your signal gets lost in the washiness.
Right.
That preamp, you can set it to unity where that doesn't happen at all, or you can actually give yourself a boost. You could actually use you could turn the time off on the delay and just have a boost on one side if you wanted. And then the same thing for the modulation effects. Like you could turn, the delay off and set those and have a pretty cool sort of chorusy effect as well. So it was a really cool pedal,
Cool. I'll definitely check out those pedals, and I might put those down in the description as well. So
I have an affiliate link for that, so you get a little discount if you guys want to, if you want to check them out. And that way, Mr. Mike will know that I sent you as well.
Yeah. If you can send me that,
I'll send you that.
If you just send me all your links in one document, I'll just copy and paste it in.
I'll tell you what, I'll send you my link tree, and you can just stick that, copy and paste that, and then that people can open it and they can see.
Okay, that'd be easiest, yeah.
They can see their, they can see the Tonetuga affiliate links and everything, right?
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for being with us, and everybody, thank you for watching, and go straight home.